Alright guys, welcome back. We'll let a few people get loaded into here, and then that way I'm just not talking to the airwaves, and we'll get started. I'm going to show you a pretty epic build here that the team's working on, and I think you're going to like it. It's been quite the adventure getting this put back together, and we'll let some folks get in, and we'll start in a couple minutes. Alright, I see some folks coming in. Make sure you guys can hear me. Just send a message over. I am running solo tonight. Most of the team is out with the holiday weekend. So you gotta bear with me tonight as I'm gonna bring the camera close and get you guys some close-ups of the build. Show what the stats are right now of it, and make sure you guys can hear me. So this is a 7-card 1080, 7-card RX 580. So AMD and Nvidia. Just went ahead and got the one side up. So, and I got both the power supplies hooked up right now to kilowatts, so we'll be able to check the power on both sides. We'll have the TV monitoring kind of where things are at. How things are going. I was playing around with simple mining while I was letting you guys get on to see about some settings for this. We haven't really done any tweaking on this. I did a little bit on the Nvidia, and we'll go through that here in a second, but I was going to try to get, we just did the BIOSes on these, and I'm just making some changes real quick. I was trying to run 2200 memory on it, and it's just sitting there, so you can see. You probably can't see. I'll get it zoomed in. Again, I'm running the camera tonight by myself, but I'll try to do some questions. I got it to where I can see your guys' feed, but we'll go through the RX 580s first. Again, these are the 4 gig model. Let's see if I grab a box of them. I try to put a couple of links in the description of which ones I'm talking about, but that's these guys right here. It's the RX 580. This is the 4 gig edition. They did not have 8 gigs. I'd like to put 8 gig and 8 gig, but they only had the 4 gigs out there. But that's what those cards are. Links in the description, and then we have the 1080s I'll show here. Now again, we wanted to go this, if the folks that have not seen this actual case before, this was the Devil 13 case. We pulled the Devil 13s out of it. That's what the power rails in the back here for. That's actually made for 2 power supplies to set right here and right here. This is a 4 power supply setup. This thing was made to power, you can't even believe what this thing was made to power. So that's a 1600, and there used to be another 1600 here, and then we got a pair of 650s here powering the motherboard. 1600s were only for the cards and the old cards that we had in this. So those old Devil 13s were power hungry. So we pulled those so we could get 7 in here. I'd really like to get 8, but I don't think that the case was wide enough for 8 a piece. That's a little too much. It's 16 cards versus the 14. But so I just pushed some config to this. We're going to see what these things with the modification did, and then we'll get to the 1080s because I know that's what folks want to see tonight, to see how many souls we're pulling out of this. Now, you know, if we gear these things up and put a lot of power to them, you actually get quite a bit. We've been doing a lot of research out there on Zcash's forum, and there's a lot of good information out there. Recommend it. We'll drop some links out to their forum, but bottom line, you give these guys a lot of juice and a lot of core and a lot of memory, and you can get some crazy amount of souls out of them. Right around 650 with these cards. You can get into the mid-high 7s with the TIs, or right about 600 with these cards. The TIs really are the ones that breaching well into the 600s and 700s. These are only the non-TI edition. We'll We'll see if this thing starts. I was taking these things from 1750 to 2150. That might be a little aggressive. I'm gonna try to get this. Let's try 2000. Now this is the RXs. I'm going to get these hashing for a little bit and you can see what these things do, and then we'll get the 1080s powered up, and then I'll go through some of your guys' questions. And we'll bring the camera over for you guys can get a much closer look at this. Now, like normal on our videos, you know, we like doing the live stream, kind of showing you guys raw, kind of what's going on with it, and then we're going to do a proper review with this. Nice quality shots on it. Well, I'll do some speaking over it and explain how we got through the build and what we had to do to get some of the stuff fixed, and of course the drivers that we used, and kind of the workflow and the process that got this thing built together. See if we can push this rig some settings, and I'll go ahead and get this actually other side booted up. And we let you guys see here. Yes, I want to reboot the rig. Yeah, TP. On top ring, he left his watt meter here, so I'm gonna be using that tonight. I'm rebooting this real quick. We're gonna push 2000 to these, and then I'll get this side booted up here. That way it's nice and ready to go. Now these Asus boards, these 270 ARs, they have power buttons built onto them, so it's kind of nice. It's back here in the back of the board. There's a power button right back here, so you just can reach back there and get it. That's what's in underneath both of these. So I'll get a closer shot of this, but essentially we've got two boards here. We got two of these underneath this. This is not 14 cards on one rig. Not yet anyways. We need to get some of our expansion risers to see if we can achieve that. But I'm gonna go ahead and get this booted up. We're gonna have both sides booted up, and then I'll show you guys some power that we're talking here. And what we've been trying to do is not just go for the highest hashes. We've been trying to get the most optimal setup on this. So I think I got these 1080s down to all 7 of them using right there at about 1,000 watts at 3,400 sols, and we're going to show you that. So which is crazy. 7 of these things right at 1,000 watts. I think it actually dips down below 1,000 watts for 7 of them, running again 3,400 sols. We're going to show you that, and I'll show you the settings and the configs and stuff I got to get that. You could do this actually with the 1070s, probably around the same, and not even have to get into buying the 1080s. I think those are kind of like 1070 numbers anyways. I mean, you can get about 500 sols for each of the 1070s these days and put out about that same power. So, you know, the 1080s is really just kind of taking it to the next level. And these are not that bad of cost. You can get these down, especially if you find some returns on the 1080s. You know, these are you can buy these retail now from the 500s, low 500s, like 520, and they're not out of stock like all these 480s and 470s that have been going through some, just getting picked up by everybody right now. Good question. While we're waiting for this to boot up, I want to answer a couple questions. So what's the difference between the MSI RX 570 gaming 4 gig and the Armor? Well, so we do have some of the Armors in the episode that's coming up. I'm going to be doing an episode. I'm going to try to do 4 graphics cards essentially, just to catch you guys up on what's been going on. So we got the Armors here in a rig that's over to the side. So we got the RX 570, the Armor Edition OC, and the other one that you were talking about, which is let's see here, picked up this one today, a handful of these. These are the RX 570 4 gig. This is the RS edition. This is the ones that come from Best Buy if you're in the States. I went over there and picked up what they had. Everybody's been kind of getting the pick of the litter. I happened to catch them right out of truck. So I got 3 different types of these. Best Buy sells 3 different types of these. RX 570 4 gigs, RX 580 8 gig, And the big difference is up here. You have two different models here that they sell. That's the Super. They look almost exactly the same. The one that kind of gives it away is the LEDs and the lights. So this is what they call the Super overclock, and this is the just overclocked. White LED, red LED. This is the Crimson edition. And then again the 570. So I'm going to do a review of all three of these. I'm going to mod them, and it'll be a proper episode. So it'll be narrated and all that, and like kind of like what you guys, if you guys just saw the last how-to video on the motherboard. I plan on taking that steps through this. So if you get these from Best Buy, you'll have kind of a walkthrough on what kind of worked for us. I have not modded them yet. I have modded these ones though. And these ones out of the box, these ones came with Hynix memory, I believe. I'll have to go over there and look and validate that. I think it's Hynix. But after the timing mod, they went to 27, and overclock, they went to 29. So right now they're stable. They're holding at 29. We'll get that BIOS posted after the video for you. But that's pretty good because a lot of the 570s I don't have stable at 29. I have them at, like, stable at like 28, 28.2. So it's actually a pretty impressive card. The only difference on this card though too is, and you'll see it, maybe I'll power that machine down and bring it over in a little bit, there is no backplate on it. It is like the base card, the base 570 that you can get right now. There's nothing super special with it. No copper pipe, it's all aluminum. Kind of cheaper plastic. There's nothing, no frills with this card, but it's cheap if you can find it. I mean, this thing was like 179 bucks. But they're about out everywhere. Yeah, XXL rig, I hear you. This thing's not like that timing over here, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this rebooted one more time, and then we'll switch over to the Nvidia. I was just trying to push some more aggressive settings to this one. We're gonna take it down to 1950, and give it a reboot. Again, I had not done a lot of modding with this side yet. I was really focusing on this side, so you're kind of seeing it on live as I push more settings to it, and you'll see it reboot here. It looks like it was going to take that. I should have probably just waited, but I'm taking it to 1950, and then we'll see what this thing does, and you can see the kind of power output on this one. So again, these are the RX 580s, 4 gigs. I got a EVGA Supernova 1300 G2 on that. From a power standpoint, we use nowhere near that. It really just came down to whether almost all the locations are out of 1,000, 1,200, 1,300 watt power supplies. So this thing just got a 1,300. So just push that. Now this 1950 should run fine on these, and I'll get zoomed in once it starts really hashing here. So we're almost at 200 mega hash with this. I'll go ahead and get this zoomed in so you guys can see. So we'll get over here. So that gives you a better look at what that thing's doing. I'll take a look at your guys' comments as you guys are looking at that. So that machine's almost at 200. So if I go ahead and try to push 2,000 back to it, we could probably breach 200 mega hash on this rig. I'll see if I can bring over the power into the view here of what this thing's doing. Might have to bring the camera back down. Yeah, let's do that. We'll check the power on this, and then we're going to kick it up. I'll show you guys the settings. Really what I want to show you is we're going to post this BIOS for the 4 gigs. If you are able to pick these up, you can see this looks pretty stable. I haven't had any drops yet. Normally I have a fan separately on this, like kind of in front of this rig, so we're just letting it roll right now, and it's not getting too bad. I mean, some of these are 47 Celsius, which isn't bad considering how close they are. We'll get into this so you guys can see what this thing's outputting. So it looks like just at 1,000 watts for 7 cards. That's 7 cards at 190 mega hash at just at 1,000 watts. I tell you what, we'll take a little stroll with the camera here so you guys can see this rig up a little closer. I'll go slow for the video can catch up. You guys can kind of see the setup here. So you can see where we have this kind of mount to where you have this side and then you have this side to where you can slide another power supply right here. It's got the little cutout right here for the power adapter, and then both of the power cords would come in right here in this section here, and then plug into one power supply here and plug into the other here. So those rails are really to hold the other power supply if you got to go 4 power supplies with this. So in this kind of build, instead of going with like a 1300 GT, you could go with an 850 and a 650 kind of setup, you know, to keep it cheaper with this rig build. And then this one's got, we had another extra one of these 1600 T2s. This does not need that near power, but the 1600 T2 has what here, I'm going to switch it to night shot. Yep, throw it off there. Here we go. So the key thing about this power supply here is it's got nine of these VGA cables. So there's actually 3 rows of 3 just for the VGA, and those are doubles. So that gives you 12 of these dual. So that gives you a ton of extra cable potential here. If you went to like even up to a 9-card rig, you could go 9 cards on that power supply, provided you weren't drawing, more than the rating. Here's a little close up of those. Now these RX 580s, these things right now, you have a front piece here that holds the front end so it doesn't dip down too much, but these are not actually long enough for this case, like for me to kind of pull up on that. It's actually just kind of wedged in there behind this, so not ideal for this. Eventually what we might end up doing with this is kind of just look cool, is going just a full rack of the 1080s and just doing 14 1080s in there. I think that'd look pretty cool, all in the same look and feel. But that kind of gave you guys a little close up of the build. You'll have the other side of it in the actual produced video. We'll get underneath it and let you see a lot of the coolness piece there. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm gonna pull the power on this one. I kind of stepped on the power supply on the other, or the power. There's a power strip underneath where this thing is plugged into, and I just stepped on it and rebooted that already. So I'm switching over now to the Nvidia, and let me get this to where you guys can see the screen. Again, I'm kind of rolling solo tonight with the camera, so you're gonna have to bear with me through some of the setup here. But I wanted to try to bring this to you guys. Again, it's a holiday weekend, so I wanted to show you guys this before we went real prime time with the build. I'm gonna go ahead and get this one booted up. if the display adapter is not plugged in when I boot this up, because I use the onboard video on this board, so I would actually have had to plug the HDMI into one of the cards because it's going to just go straight to the first 16x port. So I'm rebooting it right now with the video plugged into the actual onboard, so that's where it detects where the monitor's at. Just trying to walk you guys through kind of what I'm doing here, that way you see what's going on. So yeah, this build you could absolutely do just two 1300s. I saw that kind of comment. This thing being only 1,000 watts once this thing's rolling, will not does not need this 1600 T2. Matter of fact, that 1600 T2 will be coming out. The 1300 will have to use one set of adapters because I don't think I'll have just enough of this, but we'll check and see. I don't think it has the 9. I think it has the 6. It's good for 6 cards. The 7th card kind of makes that to where you have to do a little adapter over, do some pigtails, kind of like this right here, what's going on with this part right here, to where this is the 7 cards, but it's only singles, and then I needed one more 8, so we had to bridge it off of a 6 to an 8 there. But a 1300 with where you have the dual requirement of the 6 and the 8, it gets kind of funny. Usually you need that 1500, or you need a pair of 850 or higher 1,000 watt power supplies, a pair of those, because then you'll have enough rails to run it. So that's what's nice about the 1600s. They're just expensive as hell. I mean, they're like $400, and that's crazy talk most of the time. So essentially, this is a solid state. It's got Windows on it. Mainly because I couldn't find a ton, and I'm still looking, and we got to do some more research. I couldn't find a lot of support for Nvidia and Linux, enough to where I could try to get this built and then get a live stream out to you guys. I mean, if we do some more research and take just a distro and get Nvidia drivers deployed to it and then get it working, then maybe we'll reach back out in the video and show that to you guys. But I essentially got about 3 or 4 different miners on here because I'm going to show kind of each of the different, just like ZEC miner, O.3.3.B, and then EQMs, 1.0.4, and I think I have the nice hash miner in here. So we're going to run each of the miners here to show you kind of the differences of what just the outputs out of the gate of this is. And then I'm going to bring up Afterburner so you guys can see the settings that we have. Try to look back here and see if... don't worry, if you guys have been asking questions, I'm going to have a part of it where I'm going to walk through that. So if you guys can bear with me. I know a lot of people just can't sit there and sit on this thing for hours or whatever. So what I'll do is I'll try to get through about 10 minutes of showing you guys something, and then I'll sit down since I'm just rolling solo on this, and I'll look at the questions. So just hold your question for a few minutes, and I'll get back to it. So right here, not doing a lot of crazy settings here. Essentially, I brought the power limit down because my main goal was to try to make this run efficiently and not just use up a whole bunch of juice. I mean, we can juice it up and overclock the crap out of them, produce a lot of heat, and maybe smash some, some pretty high numbers on souls. But what I was looking for, something sustainable in this kind of setup that can just run and not have to worry about it, and stable. So we took the clocks away, the power limits down, brought some of the core clocks a little up to try to optimize it. And what we'll do is we'll start with ZEC miner. This is pointed just to a pool that we set up on. I'll tell you the pool, mining pool hub. I mean, we just went out there and made one just to connect to it. And we'll let this start going here. You see all 7 there. It's GPU 0 through 6, which is the 7 1080 cards, and I'll get this zoomed in so you guys can see it here. So we're at about 3,400 souls right now. And again, this is the TDP way down, and I'll zoom in and get the TDP up there for you guys so you guys can see what the output of this thing is. get GPU Z up here so we can actually look at the sensors on this. Move this over to the side. I don't want to move that. Back down you go. And then sensors. So right now we're at the 60% of TDP. Core clock at about 1847 on this, and memory is about 4500. So I mean, compared to like the classifieds and a few episodes I did before where I had the core at 2133, and I think we did like almost 1,000 on the memory, and we were at like 6200 on the memory. We were getting roughly like 600, almost 600, and I think it was right at 600 a card. So I think it topped out at 1200 souls. But we were using a lot of power. I mean, it was just, we had it maxed out practically. But right now these are going to get a little warm. Usually I have a fan kind of here, just kind of keep some airflow going on this. I mean, they're all about 68. I think they'll get to about 70 at this TDP, just in where they're sitting right now. So we're at, again, 3,400 souls. I'll take a look at what you guys are saying here. Yeah, for the folks that are just now getting on, this is two of these boards on one case. We do not have all the adapters to try. Now with this kind of setup, if we can get enough of the actual slot adapters, we will try to just do however many we can go. That's one of the episodes you guys are kind of seeing. One of the jumps into one of the next episodes is disconnecting the second board and using the expanders and seeing how many we can actually get on one board. And with a setup like this, it makes it pretty convenient because we can just keep running risers over to it. But right now it is 7 and 7 across two boards. So again, we're sitting here at 50% TDP, and we're still rocking in at right there about 3,400 souls. It's going to step a little. You can see the Celsius getting up there a little bit. There is no fan on these right now. I like running the external fans, but now that's ZEC miner. Now what we'll do is we'll take it up a notch and take it over to Studio QM right quick. And see what it puts out. Now this has been a little lower than the ZEC miner for us. Oh, you know what I was gonna do? Hold on one second. I'm gonna go back to that miner, and I'm gonna show you guys the power output of this miner. As you'll see, there is differences between these different miners of how they tax the cards and how much more power they use. So we'll let this spin back up, and then I'll zoom in on the power for you. I will take this through Ethereum too tonight. I do have Ethereum on here. We'll launch the Ethereum client on it, so you guys will get to see that too. All right, we're back to 3,400 souls. So what I'm going to do is see what you guys see. There's a little delay for me, so hopefully I'm holding it in the right spot here where you guys can see it. It might be a little hard here. Let me see if I can reflect the light a little differently so you guys can see it. I need to get lit up one, the ones that light up here with these. It's 970 for those that can't see it. Here, I tell you what. Instead of me trying to hold it like an idiot, let me just do this. So in about 960, 970, 970 watts for that miner. Now let's get the other one going. So, not too bad, and a lot of that has to do if you guys have 1080s or even 1070s, and you've done measurements, and you're wondering like, what the hell? Why is mine like 1300? When I had these things not touched and no power limits adjusted, and just the base clocks, I think it was right there at about 3,500 sols. But I was using almost 1,300 watts of power. And just backing down the TDP here, bringing in MSI Afterburner and just backing down that power limit and applying that, I saw next to no drop in the amount of sols that these things were putting out. You know, the hashes stayed roughly the same. They maybe dropped maybe 5% of total hashes, but the power dropped significantly. It went from 1,300 to about 900, or 950. Which is really nice. That's why it's real critical. If you guys do not have one of these, you need to get one. And I mean, they're cheap. They're like 20 bucks. We'll make sure it's linked at the bottom of the video. You need to get one of these. If you are a miner, I don't care if you have one rig, and I'm going to show you, like, you can plug it in all kinds of stuff. I look at fans and everything in the house. But this thing is one of the best investments you can do, because you can figure out if you're wasting money. You know, you're like, oh, I built the rig, it's working, I don't want to mess with it. I highly recommend, know what it's putting out. It may be stable as hell, but it's costing you another 25% in every month in power, because you just need to make a few tweaks. On these 1080s, just backing that power limit down, just to hit, from the base 100 back down to 60, I saw no impact, next to no impact on the amount of hashes, and saw a significant decrease in power. So, I just wanted to throw that out there. And this is going to show you right here that some of the miners matter too, of what the kind of load they put onto the card. So we were just looking at ZEC 0.3.3. Again, I'm going to put all these links down here at the bottom of the screen. At the end of the video, we'll have it all in the description there, so you guys can see which miners I got, which branch I got from GitHub to get it. I'll make sure all that's in there for you guys. So you can see this is right here at 3,000. This is about 400 short of that other miner output, and I think that's about where this one sets. So I mean, this is I think an older distro of EQM 104C. I think that's the latest one. Somebody can confirm that for me, but I'm right there at 3,000, and let's take a look at the power. Again, you saw I didn't change anything with the TDP. Actually, the power's the same on this one. It's actually the other mining software that has about a 80 watt increase. But so all we did is just change the mining software, and we had an adjustment in hash here. And you see that between like play more versions and. So that was EQM, and then I'm going to bring up NiceHash's kind of Windows client, NiceHash miner. Now this is a Windows GUI version. So all these little prompts, I'm going to show you what these prompts were. So under settings, Under this miscellaneous, I go in here and put this Nvidia P0 state. That was one of the first prompts. It has to run that with administrative rights. So it prompts you for that. Again, when you first download this one, each of these different, it shows all the GPUs in here, this piece of software. And when you highlight each one, it shows all of the different algorithms, and you can do benchmarks on them, and it'll output, you know, how fast is it against a CRED library, equal hash, which is Zcash, Pascal, X11. Does kind of a benchmark across all the things, because you can change what the, you know, you can mine the most profitable coin and stuff with this software. It'll auto change. It does both Nvidia and AMD too. I'm kind of giving them a shameless plug to NiceHash for here, but each card you'll have to change. So if you ever download this, you got to go in here and you got to uncheck the ones. I mean, I always uncheck all the ones that I want just equal hash on this one. So I go through there in each card and just do that to each one unchecked, because you know, if you have these checked, you know, it'll go out there and mine those. So save settings and then just start. So then this launches its miner, and this one runs a little slower. And I think because it takes some of it. I haven't done a lot of research with this one. This is going to be part of that review. We're going to do, obviously we're going to get this one with a proper review, and then I'll talk to the differences of the actual miners, what their take, essentially what their fee is, and then, you know, are they taking some of the hashes, you trading off, that kind of thing. And one of those other miners may have not released some threads, so let's see if it picks up on it. Here we go. Sometimes if that doesn't work in the first one, just kill it, restart it, and then it'll pick it up. So it popped up to about 3,500 for a second, and then it starts to back it down. It's up right at 33,000. And this one kind of shows. So I let this go for essentially. We built this. So if you go back and look when I tweeted this, it was about 2 days ago when I finally built this, and it was just under 2 days. Or actually, no, it's 3 days, because it was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and we're in Saturday now. So it's ran roughly 60 some hours, and right there, because Zcash was up there for a little bit. So this machine's ran out and has $138 worth of effort here. I think actually I might have another machine on this or so. Here, let's look here. So if I click this will make this hash bump up. Right now I have a little bit of unpaid balance right now. Earned. Yeah, here we go. This will show the timeline. I want to make sure it's accurate for you guys here. Let's see here. All. So on the 23rd, you can see here, kind of, that's profitability. Should show a hash rate around here somewhere. You can see I've had it off. I mean, as we've turned off and tried to do some stuff, I had it running there for a little bit. Let me see if this is the only one on here. I have a few. Here's a great example of to upgrade, you know, do the upgrade for the wife's computer. Put a Nvidia card in there and then mine it when she's not using it. That's what that is right there. And I have a couple Ryzen boxes. Now, the 2 Ryzen boxes, I built a couple new Ryzen boxes, and these are about roughly the outputs of the 1080 Ti's. So we'll hit a review on them, but right there, 746, 728, one card. And I think I can name this one GOD, the Grand Oral Disseminator. And we'll let this refresh here for a second, and you'll see this pop up with this hash rate. So this collectively, this is a single card. This is a 1070, and I got it downclocked some, using next to no power, and then these ones are kind of juiced up in a pair of Ryzen boxes. So you're seeing that. We'll let this go for a second and see what it kind of outputs. So we got a super chat thing. Hey, thanks for the super chat, buddy. What's the process for deciding what to mine for a long-term situation and the actual payoff for the whole unit? So that's a great question. It's a common question. Let me zoom out while this thing's going for a little bit before I can talk to the camera and you guys are just hearing my words. And I'll kind of explain. You know, this is going to be kind of the traditional, you know, to what you believe in type of thing. But we've been very heavy on ETH personally. You could do dual mining with like ETH and Saya or ETH and Decred. But the long term is all about not selling. If you got to treat, for the folks that can afford it, if you put a rig together, you know, I understand absolutely of trying to get your break-even point. Your break-even point is your rig, your cost plus your power over the period of time that you run it. So on a typical rig that's $2,200 and you run it for 4.5 months at the rates right now, you've paid it off. Essentially, you should have enough crypto to equal out what you have. If you can hold it, we have several use cases of folks that, you know, for the past 8 months, 10 months, haven't sold any of their ETH. And the amount that you get when based on what that rate has went up. I mean, nobody knew that the ETH was going to go to what it was. So what I would say is whatever you can afford to keep it. Maybe spread it across hedge it across a whole bunch of different coins. You know, have a base of Bitcoin, have a base of Ethereum, have a base of, 10 other coins. You know, I don't call them bag holders, but for the folks that had a lot of Ripple and had a dream, that dream came true for a lot of people that were bag holders and, for years, and then had a huge lift in Ripple. You know, a market cap went from 400, 500 million to 12 billion. Can Saya do that? Can some of these other coins that have good use cases that are commodity based kind of coins? That's a good question. I mean, you got your commodity versions and you got your property versions. Bitcoin, Litecoin, coins that just have that base property value to them. You store value to them. You get them. You hold them. That their main function is just point-to-point transaction or store of value. Those are commodities. Then those are your property coins. Then you got your commodity coins, which are like Ethereum, Golem, Gnosis, things that you have to use the coin as like fuel. It's part of to execute the smart contract. It's at application runtime. If you build an application on one of those coins, you have to use the coin to execute the contract. That kind of stuff is what I call a commodity. I use a truck analogy. If my truck is Bitcoin, then Ethereum is my fuel in the truck. It's a commodity. You got to spend it. So coins are good because you got to spend them. There's a use case for somebody to acquire it and to use it. Bitcoins and stores of value coins are very speculative because people are storing it. It's like gold, silver, all that stuff's very speculative. I mean, it is loosely controlled by supply and demand, and I say that respectfully for the people that have lots of it can manipulate it. But commodities is a different thing. That's why Ethereum and those kind of coins are very attractive because, if people don't get caught up in the politics of value of coins and are like, I built an application, I just want to run it. And how much Ethereum is going to run that smart contract, and then that becomes exacerbated over a supply chain, and now lots of different entities need to have wallets to consume and run smart contracts. That changes things. It makes it genuinely like a commodity. So I would say hedge it, and that's why you do this with all these different cards and stuff. You're taking a hedge if you're building one of these. Instead of going and buying coins, you're taking the bet that if something goes south, you at least have hardware that's still worth something. So you're hedging your money there. You can resell this equipment. That's why I think GPU, CPU mining is going to be here for a long time. And the industry may change where they may provide different solutions to try to make sure that miners aren't using the graphics cards and maybe using a miner version of a graphic card, maybe having special BIOSes or something that I can see that eventually happening at some point. But the ability for a consumer to go buy a single product and then be part of that right there in itself has innate value. So the folks that are worried about Ethereum, if it goes to proof of stake and what are we going to do, had that same conversation 3 years ago when Litecoin and Feathercoin and all these different other script-based coins were getting ate up by the ASICs. You know, Ethereum stepped in. There's other coins that are not going proof of stake that will take that lion's share of weight. And then you got to look at the coins that are going to be like hard drive based, you know, that are storing storage. That whole concept of cloud, the replacement of cloud storage across distributed people's hard drives and stuff like that. I mean, that might become the new norm, right? I mean, because that will require a whole bunch of people putting hard drives that are part of that community. So if GPU mining eventually went away, which I don't think it ever will, you know, some other supplement that allows a consumer to get into it's gonna crop up, and innately, even if it's just speculative value, will drive some kind of you know, exchange between people. So I would calm the fears on all that and just know that just keep your ear to the grindstone. We try to keep in track of it. Most of this channel and stuff is all about the hardware side, about building and making cool builds and getting some output. But you know, we do, you know, look at the industry just like you guys do. So let's see here. Let's look at somebody what you guys are commenting on. We're letting this run for a little bit. I'm going to see if this pops up on here, and then we'll go play with some settings on this. This Ryzen setup, or this, here we go. This, so we had 2300 here, or 3200 right now. So this is, yeah, total power usage. Yeah, right at 900 on this on equal hashes. So we'll zoom in on this. Again, these are holding about 70 Celsius. There's no other fan on these. So we'll get a zoom in on this for you guys on the power. So this is the lowest so far of all of them. Let me move this to where you guys can see. I think I'm going to invest in one that has its own backlight. Can't really see if that's helping you guys here. Yeah, you guys should be able to see that. It's about 910, 912. So again, not near to where we need a 1500 on it. I could actually put 1000 on this thing and be probably pretty fine. 1000 or 1200. 1200, that way it's not stressed. But so far, this has been a really pretty epic, just out of the box and working really well. These weren't too bad on getting set up. I had one issue when I was first setting it up, which prompted me to build that video that we just saw on the proper setup of this board. I had one setting that was off on the BIOS that was causing all kinds of heck with these. In addition, when I got these, a couple of these were open box. And I think somebody attempted to mod it. So what I did is I took one of the BIOSes and just pushed it to it, the other card, and after that everything worked out fine. So I think somebody just tried to get crafty with it. And do some modding here. But you can see here, this will show kind of an output. So if I let this roll for a little bit, this machine here, I mean, even with the prices, I mean, when the prices were like $270, this number was crazy. You know, I mean, we're talking, you know, this thing's 500, almost 500. You know, there's a couple cards, other cards on this, but you know, this thing was like $500 to $800 a month. You know, by itself. Actually, it was a little more. This average is not. I had a lot of the machines off. At 270, this thing was putting out like $1,300 a month, between this and the Ryzen boxes. So, you know, the pricing at 270 is really a sweet spot to get into the 1080s. I would say for most people, you would not need the 1080s. I would go 1070 all day long. Keep the price down unless you can find just a crazy deal on the 1080s. The 1080s are more of kind of just nice to have. If you have a 1080 Ti that you're going to game with, absolutely at night you should be running that thing because you can get it close to 700 souls by itself, and earn a little bit back on it for you. But you know, you can't beat 900 watts. I mean, that seems to be the key figure right now on all these newer cards with the BIOS mod, or you know, the TDP lowered is getting down to that 900 watts. I'm going to take some questions here while we're letting this thing run for a little bit. We tried the power color. We have a couple power colors. I don't think the RX 580. We have the 480s. The only power color that we have, which would be in one of the other videos, is this one, which is the RX 570. This one was super cheap. I don't think we're gonna be able to find these anymore at that price. That was 169 bucks for these RX 750s. The R 570s. These things actually are they're over and running. We have 7 of these. And the whole thing's 195 mega hash, so not bad at all. They're about 28 a card, so real good. And this was another thing I'm gonna so there's the video that I was talking about coming out after this one. Obviously, we're gonna do a deep dive on this entire build here, take you guys through everything, drivers, all that kind of stuff. But we're gonna do the XFX build in a video of like 4 cards. And then I'm going to do a special just kind of segment on the RX 464 gig modified. And I'm going to see what this can do. I have a few people that sent me some pictures on what this little thing can do, and I'm going to try to confirm it. So the unconfirmed right now is that this thing's doing something crazy like 50 watts a card at 14 mega hash. So if I can replicate that, I'm gonna try to bring that to you guys and modify the BIOS on these 460s. And if these are kind of like my old back in the script days, there was the old 240 cards, which were like nothing. They used no power. You could get 6 of them under for like 300 watts, and they did pretty good. They were like the script wasn't too bad. I think the whole thing was like 600 kilohash script, which at the time, mind you, we're talking 2014, was pretty good. But I'm going to try this one out and let you guys know. What I'd say is make sure you're following us on Twitter, because the second I get this thing modded and I post it, I'm going to post those results. So that kind of gives you, the people that are watching, you 80 people or whatever that are out there, kind of gives you guys the inside track. Follow us on Twitter, because when I get this thing modded, and if this thing ends up being like 50 or less watts a card, and it's putting out 14 mega hash, that's not bad. You get a 7-card rig pretty cheap. You know, go with the cheap board, one of the H versions of these. You know, like the H170 6-card board. 50 bucks you can find those for. Get a cheap processor, $35, 4 gigs of memory, cheap. And then if that's 50 watts, you're talking, that's maybe like a 600 watt build, 650 watt build for, you know, 88 mega hash, or I think it was about 80, it was 14.6. So, you know, you're talking close to 80 mega hash, you know, so that's going to be interesting. So I might even break this open tonight. We'll see. After this live stream, I'm kind of curious, because there's a ton of these at Micro Center right now. So you guys stay tuned for that one.
You had a super chat question?
Oh, got a super chat. So I got the TB250 BTC and only 5 GPUs. Okay, so in IK68, first off, thanks for the super chat. You're a boss. The There's a miner mode in that. Did you turn on the miner mode? Just type in there if you've turned on the. There's a mode that you have to set on that. And so first off, I always update the BIOS. First thing, update your BIOS. Make sure you're set to your PCI Express 1X, and then make sure miner mode is enabled. Okay, BIOS is updated. So here's what I would do in your situation right now. I would activate the miner, find which card is having the issue, follow that down with the riser. Take that out of the mix, that riser and that card, and then just try to use that riser on a riser that's working on like card 5, move it over to card 6, and make sure that card 6 starts to work. Make sure it's not your card. So you got to take that out of the mix, make sure it's not the card. Then take the riser, after you confirm that, then take the riser that wasn't quote unquote working and move, pull 6 out of the mix again, take the riser that was on 6 and move it over to 5, pull 5's riser off, and just validate. It's kind of the separation, and make sure that, is it, I know that you said you went through 3 risers, but just try it on the different pieces there. Then after that, if everything looks good, the riser checks out, and you're still having a problem with that 6 port, then what I usually do is I move the 5 cards across different ports. So take from the far left port, shift everything over right, leave the 16X open, and just run them all. See if it runs just 5, and then just add the 6 card to the 16X slot, and then see if that works.
Did you answer Dim Rain's super chat question?
I think I answered Dim Rain. Dim Rain, did I answer your question? So bottom line, for the process of deciding which to mine in long term, go with the coins that have the best feature sets right now that are available and good developer support. So Ethereum, Gnosis, Golem, Psycoin, Decred, those are all good. Monero has a pretty good ICO. Yeah, TIK68 too. And if that doesn't work out, just PM us on the channel after, and we'll see if we can help you out. If I try to help out as many people as I can. I have several other folks that kind of work with the BBT channel too, and we try to get back to you guys and try to answer the questions. Again, we learn a lot from you guys too, so keep the questions coming. We don't mind them. Send us direct messages, and we'll get them answered. Let's see here. So this thing's been running for a little bit here. Just relay any questions if there's any more. The wifey unit and support. So as we're seeing this thing's starting to lift here, the monthly projected income's coming up. So nice hash. Like if you have Windows and you have some Nvidias, and you guys can, if you guys are running the Nvidia cards, running Zcash, go ahead and post in the chat which miner you're using. If you use this nice hash, this is new to me. I know you can sell your mining hash with them. But I'm just using their software to kind of localize it, for this, and then right now it's just converting it back to Bitcoin. It's more of a sample test to make sure it's running right, but we'll be switching this back to a mining pool because I actually want to store the Zcash myself and not sell it off. But I wanted to kind of give a benchmark on how this thing's doing. But and since the 23rd, is that what that was? 3 day. So 23rd, it's 5 days. So in 5 days, we're talking what my unpaid balance right now is so far, or my targeted unpaid on 5/30 is going to be $193. That's not bad. I mean, that's not bad at all, actually. So, what it's saying is that the Nvidia is in the game, and I don't know if they know that, but I think some of you guys watching the channel know that. So the folks just entering the 14 are not on the same board. These are 2 different boards right now, but the setup is set up to where once we get our expanders, I'm going to take the other board out of the mix, and I'm going to see how many we can get, if we can get all 14 across 2 power supplies onto a single board. But right now they're split in 7 and 7 to answer that. Again, only 47.5% TDP. Still holding 900, so I think this is a good setup for this. 3,400 or 3,200, 3,400 souls for the 7 cards. Now this thing actually gets pretty warm in here. So I haven't had any air conditioning. We have a separate unit in here, plus we have central air in the place. I turned off the localized air conditioning here, just down here. This miner's running, and I have one more off to the side that's running. I brought all the rest of them down just for the sound level. And I don't know if you can see that. That's how hot ambience in here right now. It's 82 degrees. So that's Fahrenheit. For all you, for everybody else in the world besides American, 28 Celsius. So 33% humidity. So it's a little warm in here. Let's just say that. So usually, again, I have a fan here, and then we have a different air conditioning to bring the ambient temperature down in the 70s in this area. So it's still holding 72 Celsius, so it's not bad. And that's really because the TDPs turned way down on these to keep them pretty cool. I mean, 72 Celsius is still pretty warm, but not too shabby.
Do you have any tips on finding cards in stock?
Tips on finding cards in stock? Yes. So what you need to do is you need to look in your geographical area and just don't go flash to bang thinking, oh, I got to go to the Micro Center or the Fry's. You can go to those, but your outlier Best Buys, if you're in the States, so like your other H.H. Gregg's, your Best Buys of the world, those kind of places that are not in the major metropolitan areas. Find a reason to take the fam out and go up to a city that has low population. You'll find some of the outlier city and the outlier areas. So the outlier Best Buys around here had, 5 of the XFX. They were just kind of sitting there, and they're like, oh yeah, some people come in and take a couple at a time. They're like, no, you don't have any miners that come in. They're like, oh, no, I don't know what that is. So, well, one of the guys knew what that is, but you'll find some of the cards in some of those outlier stores. We're trying to get links out there. I mean, we have the Amazon affiliate piece there, and Amazon's been tapped pretty much exclusively. But I'm trying to work with some other vendors out there. We'll try to get some more links out there to see where you guys can get some other cards. But right now, I think across the whole states, at least the states, a lot of the AMD cards are out. That's why it starts getting attractive on some of the Nvidia cards. Unfortunately, the base price on the best deal I've seen so far on the 1070's is $309, and we'll link to where I've seen that at. But I think the daily average is $335, $339, somewhere at that for the 1070's, and then you're at the low 500s for the 1080's. In some of the stores, you can find used 1080's. And you can maybe able to get them down to 450, 475, somewhere around there. But that's still very high. That's like buying back in the early 15s, 2015. That's like buying R9 390Xs. I mean, they were 330 to 429 a piece. It was expensive. But I guess we can all hope for Zcash and some of the other coins to go back up, get that lift. It's been a bloody weekend. A lot of folks taking profit. I mean, that's to be expected when you have a huge jump like that, I assume. So I would say I think Tuesday's going to be an interesting day. So we'll see if there's a lift on Tuesday once people get out of the weekend and all come to a realization that, okay, so if the new top is set 2,700 and they're looking at $1,900 Bitcoin, they're going to have their talks tomorrow. It's a holiday weekend in the States. You get into Monday, and then people start hooking back up to their Coinbase, and then you'll start seeing some buy orders probably come in on Tuesday. So I personally think this is not financial advice to you, but this is, I think, a good buying opportunity given the highs that we saw across the board. So I would say just don't put all your eggs in one basket and spread it. And then you'll catch one of them. So if one's up 5% and another one's up 2,900% because some new coin becomes the new fad, you're going to benefit from that. So I'm thinking Tuesday is when probably that's going to happen after everybody comes back from the weekend. So I think we've done a pretty good review, at least to showing you guys kind of this running, what the power output is of the 1080s. Again, 3,400 sols is about the base on this. You know, I read on the forums that we could take these up to 4,400. I have not seen that on these, so we're gonna play with them a little more. I think I'm gonna have to take the TDP way up, put definitely some extra cooling on them, and then slide these power limiters all the way up and kind of juice up the clock speeds and the memory. Then we could probably get 4,000 on them, but I bet you I'm gonna be close to 1,500 here. Matter of fact, I'll do it for a quick second just to show you guys the difference. So we'll close this down. We'll stop this because this thing will just keep trying to go. What I'm going to do is make sure we have a little bit of extra cooling here, and we're going to juice up the TDP on these a bit. We'll see if let me know if this is making too much of a sound for the video. I will back them down. I'll back this down some. Actually, I'll put it on low just to get some airflow going through them. And then I'm gonna juice these up. Let me know on if it's too much on the stream. I'm gonna take the TDP up on them, and I'm gonna take some of the clocks up, and we're gonna see actually what we get. A little 104. We'll apply that.
Making fun of your mouse pad.
Yeah, you like my mouse pad? I have this Thermal Take one, and this cheap mouse isn't working. I'm gonna have to go get a mouse. I'm gonna take that super chat funds, and I'm gonna buy a new mouse. All right, so this is should be a lot more juice. And we didn't take the clocks up much, but let's see what we get. Actually, I don't think that changed. I don't think it took the change. Oh yeah, it took the change. It definitely took the change. So we're not getting much more hash at all. And I could be doing this kind of. So taking up. So we're at about 1260. And it didn't really move. So this is what I'm talking about when I'm telling you play with those settings a bit and get a power meter. Because you're seeing that now at 1300 watts of power usage, and next to no change. Oh, lost part of my lighting. So we're at 3,400 sols. We're using almost 1,300 watts of power, so hardly any change. All we did is just, and that was pretty much the power limit that's stock. Here, I'm going to drop the TDP all the way down. 37 power limit. Now this is 37 power limit on the actual power output, and that did not like that. That already just turned it off. There we go. I think I actually just have my TV power off. So it's flickering a little bit, but we're at 2,300 souls. We're using next to no power. Look at that TDP. 37. So 2,400 souls at 37. And we're getting, let's look at this power. Let's see what we're going to guess. $695 watts of power. Seven cards. 7 1080s. Running 2,400 souls at 700 watts. 100 watts. Yeah, it's not even breaking 700. Yeah, so somebody's asking about the power to run the fans and stuff, and yes, they are. And I'm going to show you right now why we let that run. I'm going to see if that's even stable. I don't even know if running that is stable. So I'm going to take a traditional box fan that I use. We're going to plug it into the power meter. I'm going to show you how much juice it uses. These are like your run-of-the-mill box $15 fans that you can get at your local super store. Yeah, it's okay. It's just not getting enough. Barely enough juice. It's such a low power output that it's shutting down the... Yeah, let's set this right. Yeah. We're going to plug this in. Not there. And the power. I'm going to set this down actually here. And that is on low. I don't know if you can see that. Let me see. Here, let me put it right here and then I can zoom in on it, right? Yeah, I'll tell you guys about. I got an energy efficient AC that goes in a window unit. It's like 500 watts of power. So this is a normal box fan at low. That's the power that it's putting out. So 67 watts. And I'm going to kick it up. We'll go to medium and then we'll go to high. And then you guys at least have a benchmark of what a box fan is. So that is in medium. So we went from 66 to almost 80 watts of usage. Looks like it's stable at 70, 79, something like that. And there is high, and that's probably really loud. I'm sorry for RIP headphone users. So we're looking at 90 watts. So 91. 78. 62 or 65. And then I'm going to show one more because you've probably seen these before. So a typical, you know, just cheap turbo fan, little one of these. Let me zoom out. one of these on low. That on low 27. So that's about equivalent to like 6 fans on the graphics cards maxed out, because I think it's about 20 watts. I think is the difference usually when the fans spin up on the 2 fan cards. There's medium. So not much. And there's high. So just under 40. Now you guys can see why these little tools are very useful. Gives you kind of a benchmark to see if you're using different things to keep cool, air conditioning units, all that kind of stuff. You can use that to figure out and check your profit and your profit and loss. Your P&L, as they would say in a business side. I mean, if you're doing this just for one rig hobby, I mean, you can probably not count pennies on it, but if you're going to do it at scale and you're going to go 10 cards or 10 rigs and you're going to buy 10 fans, well, we can see if from the box level, if you put 10 box fans, you better add almost 100 watts per fan. That's another 1,000 watts that you need to put into your calculation monthly. Close this out, and I'm just going to bring that TDP back up to 60. So that's the level that I like these at. I have some 1070's I'm going to try, so I'll use it as a cross comparison when I do the deep dive on this on the separate episode. I will pair some 1070's with this just to give you guys a benchmark of it. So you'll see the output of this, and then I have a couple 1070s, a couple different versions of 1070s. I actually have a 1070 MSI Twin Frozer, so it's a good comparison. So you'll get to at least see that. And then I have a Zodiac Amped Extreme Edition 1070, and you'll see the output of that. That thing's almost 500 souls itself. So, but we'll do that cross comparison when we do this rig. And then, so I think we've killed Zcash on this a little bit. You guys want to see ETH? Want to see what it does on ETH and maybe some other coins? See what you guys are saying. Let's just keep that on there right now. We'll get we'll keep this we'll keep the power limit at 60 right now. We'll keep the sensor up. Again, we'll put the software that we're using in the description. I'm going to make sure I have a punch list so I don't forget any of this here. Keep telling you guys all these wonderful promises. I want to make sure I deliver for you. So I'm going to do, make sure we do the software. Drivers. Card. Make sure we add that all in the description. And where to get that stuff. Meter. Alright, let's go ahead and try some Claymore. Oh, this is the AMD. You know, I'm going to give this, since this thing was doing that kind of, I had it so low on the thing, I'm going to give it a reboot. Because I think I actually had, it was part of that, I think when I dropped that TDP so low, it came up and recovered the driver. So I'm going to give it a fresh reboot. Anytime I have a driver crash like that, even if the miner picks back up, I usually give it a nice reboot. Just to make sure it's going to be stable. Yeah, we like doing these builds. This is if you guys hadn't seen some of our old stuff, you'll see the actual this case. I did a pretty deep dive on this case with some Devil 13s. So it's an older video. You'll see the same kind of red case, and you'll see 6 Devil 13s, which were the the 390 X2 is a twin 390 processor per card. We had 6 of them here, and it was like 12 GPUs. That thing used a lot of power though. It was like 3,300 watts of power usage. I think it was like a nuclear reactor. I don't know why this thing ain't starting. It's not starting because there's nothing in the startup. Hilarious. Let's pull over. There we go. Got moved over. So 7 cards total. Now again, this is with the, I think this has, let me make sure the afterburner is, the sensors are up.
While you're waiting, if you could find any card out there, what would be your ideal pick?
If I could find any card out there on the planet right now, for price to mega hash performance, this right here, RX 570 Red Devils, the Dragons. This is the only 570 that I have stable that's 29.2 mega hash. And I got the BIOS for this. So you'll see this episode coming out. We've been running it now for almost a week. And actually, in a second here, I can bring it over and show it to you guys. It's just ridiculous. Now, I haven't bought... We've been so busy with trying to do this build and a couple other builds, I did not build like a frame for it. So it's actually the first time that I've ever just like put cards on a rack. So there's no hits to anybody that's ever done that. I think it's genius. But I kind of just slapped it together. I needed them. I wanted them hashing. I wanted to see them running. We'll bring that over. I'll lift it and put it right over here in a minute and let you guys see this. But this is the card right here. These were $169. If you can find these anywhere on the planet, you need to pick them up. It's a Rockstar stable BIOS, and I'll bring it over here in a second and let you guys see it. Yes, so I'm working on, I have several people helping me right now, helping me get this website put together. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get we have a lot of history on just builds and doing stuff and working with people and going out to the forums and working with folks. And what I want to try to do is collect all of that knowledge, put it out there, give the source, the people where it came from, give people some recognition for submitting, kind of like a wiki, but think of it like a wiki that meets like the PC part list builder, but from a rig edition. So you can sit there and select parts from a list, and then it'll go out there with the known. It'll match up against those IDs of, how much power, what do other people's rigs put out. They'll submit that, we'll review it, we'll post it out there. So when you go in that PC part list builder and you're building that rig out, it'll give you the kind of normal specs, and then I can link it back to the actual BIOSes. So like if you go in there and just want to say, I want to build all this, is there an available BIOS? And then one that's been proven, it's been vetted, it's been tested, and then you can download it right there. So that's kind of gives you an insight of what I'm looking at for the website right now. So I want to have that kind of PC part builder list, and then it'll link out to where we can find inventory. So I'm going to try to parse out the Amazon and the Fry's of the world for you guys, pull that into the site, and then you guys can just pick from there. Versus us trying to buy hardware and host it to you and then try to figure out shipping and supply chain. I want to leverage the best of the world supply chain and then seeing if I can just channel more straight to you guys. So I'm trying to get that done. We're trying to get that listed out there. It'll move from the blog site that it is now to that site that I'm talking about. And then it'll give you guys kind of a one-stop shop, and then hopefully start to be kind of a community of just sharing configs and helping, because this is a community. I understand that for a long time folks thought, oh, I need to keep all this to myself because, it's gonna, no one of us, no 10 of us, or no 100 of us are gonna manipulate that market by doing this stuff. Folks that have hundreds of millions of dollars that just directly buy the coins and become the whales, those folks go manipulate the market. The people that are actually buying the hardware and doing all that kind of stuff, even if we do it collectively, we're not really messing with that market. When you look at the total output of potential hash rate, it's just a math problem. We'll have there's an episode I really want to take you guys through that, where we can actually calculate the actual output from all the hash, and the division of that based on one blocks, and then see what the inflationary piece is. So that's the people that are mining would get so much to be able to manipulate and play with. And when you have it distributed over a lot of different people, bottom line is that it's not going to really mess with the market. It's the people that buy up all the coin and then mess with the market. So bottom line, I think if we have a good site to share information and get the folks that are contributing from a networking side, I think that helps us all. And at least it'll be a source where you don't go brick your card because you went to a forum and somebody posted and renamed the wrong file. I mean, that's the one thing I want to try to help of anything, is like, you guys go out there, you hit a forum, and I love people that post their BIOSes. Thank you for doing that. I've had a force reset two of my cards because the memory was wrong, right? Somebody had put that it was Samsung memory and it was like Hynix. So that kind of stuff I want to try to prevent, and that way people can see, hey, at least there's a single source that, or multiple sources that uploaded it and we validated it, and you guys have a source for that. So that's what the site's really going to be trying to drive, is some cohesion in this scene across the different coins and stuff. So we've always tried to bring that from the video standpoint, but centralizing it around a website and projecting that information that way, I think is a good way to do it. So we've been letting this run again at low. This has the lower power and usage. I don't even know what the power is. Right now we're at 950 on the power on these, and it's getting 150 mega hash right now, which isn't like stellar, but it's 7 cards and 3. So 150 for 900 is not too. It's about 70 or 20 mega hash to 40 mega hash off of what like these RX. These things were what we'll fire it back up for the folks that didn't get to see this in the beginning, but these 7 RX 580's were running 196 mega hash at 1,000 watts. So this is running 150 mega hash at 950 watts. So 50 watts less, but like 40 mega hash less. And that's mainly attributed to the 21.41. But again, I'm running these pretty low. We can drop this down and kind of get a little more juice. And let's try to give it some more memory. See if we don't blow it up. 150 on the memory. And let's try this again. Yeah, I don't. We haven't done a lot of ETH on this, but we'll see. Yeah, we can do some questions.
Do you prefer SSD or flash drives?
SSD if you're doing anything with Windows, just because. We got a whole whopping 2 mega hash out of that. That's not good. SSDs if you're using Windows, just because of the reboots and all that kind of stuff. You want to be up and quick. Flash drives if you're using Linux. If you're using Simple Miner, just go buy a cheap flash drive and save yourself the $50. Go to Micro Centers or any of the things. Don't go buy like the Walgreens ones. It's like $25. It's a waste of money. Try to get like the $7 Micro Center ones they're good. They're fine. They work fine. It keeps your cost down. But yeah, all your Linux builds just do flash drive. We did have a bootable flash Windows OS. It's kind of laggy. I mean, it's not really. Maybe eventually, whenever they get like USB-C, the new standard 3.1 USB kind of flash drives, maybe that might work. in place of it. But I mean, you can get a cheap SSD for Windows. Go for it. And it doesn't even have to be a good one. Like, get the 64 gig, like ADATA ones that sometimes you can find sometimes for $25. I'll link you guys to some because I think on Amazon there's a couple vendors. They come up and then they go away sometimes, but they have a 64 gig ADATA SSD, and it's usually $24. So it's like the cheapest SSD you can buy, and it's plenty for a miner. Yeah, so we got 0.2 mega hash on that increase. And what's our wattage now? Because we 977 didn't go up much, 20 mega hash or 20 watts. So 150s, I haven't done a lot of Nvidia cards with ETH, but let's get. I tell you what, somebody give me a Decred address, and I'll do dual mining with this real quick. And what we'll do when I bring over that Red Devil is I'll get this other side up, and if you give me you guys post another address, I'll give you guys some free hashes. That's what BBT brings to you guys. We'll give you guys some free hashes. So post a few. Give me a Decred address. Give me an ETH address. I know everybody's scrambling right now looking for their addresses. So preferably something that you're already mining against, because then I'm just helping your effort. If you give me an address that has no effort against it, like on ETH Pool or ETH Mine, because that's where I was looking. So hopefully you're mining on ETH, like ETH Pool or ETH Mine. I could throw you some hashes for a little bit on this live stream. We'll take the live stream for, let's see, we'll go another 30 minutes. So you're gonna get 30 minutes of 200 mega hashes. So, and what we'll do is if you guys go out and help me get this channel shared, the 10,000th subscriber, I'll give 24 hours of 193 mega hash rig. So you get a full day of 110. The lucky 10,000th subscriber is going to get a full day of hashes. Maybe we'll find some other participation stuff that we can have you guys do once the site's up. And maybe do a day or type of stuff to share. Okay, we got some Decred. All right, let's get this thing repointed here. What I'm gonna do is put this out on the pool. Let's see here. Okay, Phenom 3030. I'm gonna put one rig up for you, and Power USA. You have a ETH 1 2, and then I'll use the Decred. Let's get this other one up. Might actually break that mouse and have to get a new one. Oh, I unplugged this rig. I'm like trying to power it on. I'm gonna get the other 7 cards going. That way, I got like 4 rigs here, so I can do a few of your guys' thing for a little bit here. And you get it plugged back in. Forgot we were doing the fan test. I was like, no, there's no way I killed it. Alright. So I'm going to get these addresses copied over. Got some help with the piece here. We're gonna do This is for and then I'm getting the dick rig. Thanks for the PSI address, Tritech. I'll be using that one too. I'm getting them all moved over to a text file so I can get them over to this rig. There. All right, I just wanted to make sure I had several of you guys' addresses in here so I can make sure I get. All right, save. Mouse. Is that a question? I'm looking at the address because it looks like it has a question mark at the end of it. Like somebody was putting a C6. This should end in 8.4, not a question mark. All right. Copy. What I'm going to do is dual mine here. Oh my god, the button here is toast. Oh, I have to get, what's the cred? A power, paste your entire, which miner or which pool you're going to for your cred address, and I'll make sure it's in there, buddy. And we'll get you guys in there. While he's doing that, I'm gonna move this this red devil machine over here so you guys can see that one real quick before we call it. And don't worry for the folks that I said I was gonna do the mining for. You'll see it for a little bit even after the live stream. I'll let it burn for a little bit for you guys.
While you're moving that, we need to talk to can EthOS dual mine, or is it
Yes.
a simple miner
EthOS can dual mine.
with ETH and PCR?
Yes, it should be able to do both. They're in their wiki under their ETH distro page. They should have they're set up to do that, but we can easily show that. So all I ask is you guys not make fun of my build. Desperate times called for desperate measures when I built this. We had not built a rig yet for it. This was the first and probably only and ever rack mount style. But the night that I was able to get these, I didn't think I was going to be able to get cards. And we were out of the gray matter cases. We were out of pretty much everything. So this was actually going to go in a closet. And I said, okay, that's not going to go in a closet anymore. That's got to service a rig. So this is a 7 card build, and it's about as budget as you can get on a case set up, to the point that I even mounted it to the box with I did use little risers, so it's not sitting there. It's sitting on little spacers, the nylon spacers you can get on 6 of those. And this has got a 1300 G2 in it. And the only processors we've been able to get is i3s lately, because it's like all the Pentiums are out. So this has got an i3 and 8 gigs of memory in it, which is not really needed. So I'm going to move this over so then you guys can see this one operate on the big screen. Pull the video. And again, if you guys give me that, we'll look at the chat, we'll get your addresses typed in, and you guys will get some hashes from us tonight, and you guys can post in the comments like, oh my god, they actually did it. So I am man of my word on that stuff, and I just need to make sure I run power over here. This setup was not set up for this. So again, these are the RX 570 Red Devils. We'll post this BIOS after we do the video for this one. Actually, I'll post the BIOS ahead of time. I'll put it out on the website or out on the current blog site. I'll just make a blog post with it. I'll take a picture of these and then I'll just post the BIOS up there. That way you guys can get it tonight, and I have to wait for the video to come out. I don't want to hold that information back. That one's running right now. We need some juice. Here, we're gonna power the big boy down here. And then I'm gonna because I want to show you the kilowatt on this one. And that should shut off.
We have another super chat.
All right.
Another question about the TV250 BTC. When he's setting PCIe to 1x in the BIOS, is that supposed to show 6 of them set to 1x? Because he only sees 5.
It should show, I believe it should show 5 1x's, and then the 1 16x should be down at 4. But I don't have a TB250 here to help you through it. I need to get one. Hey, if anybody looking at the stream right now, if you can link me to a TB250 that I can purchase, we'll get one right now. We'll order one. And if I can't answer your question right now, I will get back to it and get you an answer. Alright, that's plugged in. is going to need. That is just my cable putting strain on the motherboard. Alright, let's get some internets for this. Again, we're running simple mining with this one. And again, these were the $169 RX 570's. $169 a piece. I think we were just lucky and got those before all the prices went up. So you can see we're taking them from 750 to 2000, from 1046 to 1080. Here's the 7 cards. And these have, I believe we took the 1500 strap across it all, but I'll post out the details when we post it up on the blog site tonight of exactly which one it was. But
Price range for
oh yeah, we did back these down a little bit. That's right. 27. So it's 193 for these. The 29.2. You need to juice them up to 2075. We'll do that here in a second. What's the price of? The price range I seen for the TB250 is like $150. I think is what the going rate is right now. That was 192. 192 mega hash, and what's the power on these guys? That's 192 at. These things hardly are using any juice too. It's just they're just sick cards. Here, Nvidia, do us a solid and hold this. There you go. Oh, this thing is just not fun to play. I'll move the camera. Here, we'll zoom out. So, that is 7 cards at 193 mega hash. Yeah, so that's on the 7. And what I'll do right now is I'll use the CRUD address, and I'll update, and we'll dual mine real quick with this, and you'll see the power difference. Yeah, you just cannot beat that, guys. I mean, it's just ridiculous, absolutely ridiculous. 940 watts with 7 cards and almost 200 mega hash. So what we're going to do right now is I'm going to go into simple mining, and I'm going to take the Red Devils. We're going to go into
holograms on those cards are fun.
yeah. people here. Who had the site?
They're saying YouTube is kind of blocking them from putting the whole address
Oh.
up.
They can just email me at bitsbytrippin.com. Let's see. We're gonna kill this. I'm gonna see if I did that SI address right, and then we'll do decred.
Those cards again, are they Red Devils or Red Dragons?
Red Dragons. These are the Red Dragons. It's this exact card. Check that. That went right back to ETH. I didn't do the pushing it now. So we're going to do some dual mining. That's a good suggestion on the Discord server on putting that on the site. I'm going to write that down. Huh? Well, yeah, it's not mining right now because it's trying. I think it's trying to resolve that SIA. Yeah, that SIA invalid. I think I put some extra spaces in that I didn't need. Trying to fix the SI address.
Yeah, he had to add spaces, it was blocking the URLs.
Yeah, trying to reload it now. I got rid of all the spaces. We'll let that try that. And I'll answer some questions while this is rebooting. So we got a Discord server. What else you guys thinking? So do you guys like the idea of the part builder, like the rig part builder, taking some of that kind of concept, like the PC part builder software, where it's actually pulls all the stats of the latest hardware, and then but does it in the context of a rig? And then we can have you guys link back to, you know, all your different builds. Back in the script days, there used to be a wiki page where everybody would post up their stats. That kind of went away after script. There really hasn't been anything that really replaced it well. And then yeah, we can put the cost and hash. So I have out there on the blog site right now. Oh, it's still missing something on that address. I have on the blog right now kind of like the power usage hash, but nothing at what the scale that it needs to be. Let's see here. Just, oh, it won't post up. Email me at bitsbetrippin.com your entire, like if you're using ETH pool or simple mining, whatever your dual miner is, with your address, just email me the entire string that you have in there right now. That way I make sure I have every setting and your addresses. So if you guys email me that right quick, I'll move over to it. There's that 28 too, by the way. I was talking on these guys right here. So the ETH part's right for the dwarf pool. Some lucky bastard's getting that right now, but with these settings adjusted, that's these RX. I don't know if you guys can see that. While I'm waiting for you guys to send me your entire simple miner string with your addresses included, email me that bitsbetrippin at gmail.com, and I'll put it in there real quick. But this is the Red Devils turned to where I had them before, and I'll show you the power. It's only, that's what those are. What those run with the BIOS mod that we have, and they run at 2,000 on the memory. So brand new out of the box, 7 of them will push 200 mega hash. It's the best, by far, bar none, stable RX 570 that we have, that I've touched. Out of the MSIs, out of the armored MSIs, the Twin Frozers, the Gigabytes, the XFX, all of them. The Red Devils right now with that BIOS mod. And mind you, this is 7 of them running 197 mega hash at that much wattage. That's like Zen right now in this world. It's hitting that elusive 1,200. 200 mega hashes for 1,000 on ETH. All right, I'm gonna check the email real quick. Yeah, so that was a good point on the Molex extensions. Typically, I'll just go the Molex straight into those. You know, those Molex connections, the extension things for the SATA. Typically, I'll just grab the Molexes and just plug them right in. Just 2 Molexes per card. You know, so if you have a strand. Here, I'll explain that why we're getting those addresses. So, typically, and it's not even typically, this is a must do. This is out of the category of an option. Meaning you don't have an option. You must do it this way. If you're going to use the Molexes, and there's 3 of them, you have some of them that have the 3, just use 2 of them max. If you have SATA cables and you're going into your risers, now I gotta grab a SATA strand. Hold on. Another one. If you have a SATA strand, and this is going to be like in the next like troubleshooting video. If it has 4, ignore 2 of them. You now are just using 2 of them. We used to use 3, and the cable gets a little warm. 4 of them, you're going to catch your PSU on fire. It's just the way it is, especially with these RX 480s. These RX 480s have a lot of pull from their, you know, if you look at the early, or the 480s and the 570s. 570s, I think he actually answered it, but the old 480s and 470s, when they first came out, they were burning the actual slots up on people's, I mean, the people that are using for gaming, they were burning them up. It was pulling so much juice through that port. So if you put 4 of them on there, you're more than likely going to burn up your power supply. So we're suggesting to knock it all the way down to 2, so you have like 1 and 1, and don't worry about the other 2. For your risers, there are several examples right now out there where people have burned up their stuff. You know, and if you're watching some of our old videos, you know, YouTube took away where you can't annotate anything anymore. So, like, I'd like to go on there and annotate some of the stuff saying, hey, don't do this anymore, there's a better way. Because in some of our old videos we had in there, you know, you guys using like jumpers, you know, to jump 2 power supplies. There's different ways now. They give you devices. The power supply companies got smart, you know, and in a worst case scenario, if you don't have a master slave set up to where it powers the other thing, they actually send essentially that jumper for you now. It comes in there. That's what that little extra black 24 pin thing is. And if you look inside there, it actually has the jumper pins essentially in there to activate a secondary power supply. But if you want to control it, there are master slave connectors that you can get, and we'll link those down, where there's a cable ribbon. I think CryptoMine just talked about one of them in his last video for the 8-card one, where he used 2 750s. But there's that, and there's some other little adapters that you can get if you're going to use 2 PSU setups. Most of these setups, though, don't require 2 PSUs anymore, though. I mean, unless you're going to get into like the 8+ card rigs, you don't need it. All right, I'm going to check and see, because we got some potential no hashing going on over here. I'm going to look at the email and get that moved over, and then you should see. Keep the questions coming. I'll get them answers as we're going.
A mixed card rig, is that possible, and is that something we'll be doing in the future?
A mixed card rig, yes. Matter of fact, since I bought a whole bunch of different XFX from Best Buy today, they just give me a mix match of a whole bunch. I'm actually going to have a mixed rig there, and it'll show you how to handle that. Did somebody send me their? I do not see it in my email. Gmail, it's bitsbetrippin@gmail.com. So if you want some free hashes, go onto your simple mining, look at your string that you're using for your dual mining, highlight that whole string, paste that into my email. I'll take both your addresses and I'll throw some hashes your way right now. I need the whole string because I don't want to. You can't send me, unfortunately, everything through the chat because they keep truncating it. So. And then I'll throw some hashes your way as we start to talk some of this other stuff. There we go. Now they're flooding in. I hear you. All right, Power. It looks like I got yours first. Now you're gonna get this rig, and you're gonna get the 7-card MSI rig at the same time. And we'll see if I'll be able to show kind of what that's outputting. But essentially, that's 400 mega hash is gonna be heading your way on ETH in a second, and we'll let that burn for a little bit. So you're gonna get a nice little spike of 400 mega hash here in a second. That's what BBT does for you guys. Throw some hashes your way. And again, our 10,000 subscribers are going to get a full day of, we'll at least do one rig, maybe a couple rigs, a full 24 hours, 400, 500 mega hash headed your way for a full day. So some lucky bastard's going to get it. And what I'll do is I'll look at that I'll look who it is. Well, I'll reach out to them. If they don't respond, I'll give them a little bit, and we'll find somebody out there. So I know a few of you around that time. My subscribers is gonna go like this, but I'll see some of you guys longer term ones, and maybe we can do a little raffle on that too, and throw some hashes your guys' way. All right, I took that whole string. I'm not getting either. Let me see. Oh, that's your actual. Never mind. Hold on. You sent me your whole local ETH mine from like Windows. Hold on, I can fix that. Let's do this. So you're getting the one. Let's let that reboot. See if you got any other questions here. So we have not got the M2 port yet. I am still waiting for it. I ordered 2 of the M2, and I'm gonna have to go order a whole bunch more because I know I'm gonna get them and I'm gonna like them. I'm gonna want more, and now I'm gonna have to wait again for delivery from China. But I'm gonna have to order like a 20 pack of those. But they're the M2 drives. I just wanted to make sure that I could get them working. I didn't burn anything up with a couple of them, and then I ordered a couple of the 3 expansion card slots to try to get all of the rigs going. Adam Anderson right here is the best rig, I think, and we're going to see it here in a second. RX 570 Red Dragons with the BIOS mod that we have in here, under 1,000 watts. Still not getting a good SIA address here. I don't know why this is hard for SIA here. Everything's in there is the exact string that I had in the email from Power. Oh, Power, it's just not liking that E+I address you gave me. Let's try Sam's. Huh? Next it is trying Sam's. Save. Pushing the config now. Well, Power, you got a little bit of hashes there for a second, at least 400 ETH for a second. Yeah, so while we're waiting for that, what I was telling for you guys that are just joining, I almost dropped that one. That would have been fun. So these are the 3 different card types that I got that are going to go into a single rig. So we'll just throw them up here and get zoomed in here. This is the XFX. What was this? This is the super clocked edition. The XXX super clocked edition. The only difference between that and this is the overclocked edition. This is the super clocked. So they're both RX 580's. They're both 8 gigs. Really just the sticker, but this is hyper white and this is red, crimson red. And they're both 6 and an 8 pin, and so they're just a little bit different. Once their BIOSes they're going to be probably damn near the same. They'll probably be the same output. And then I got a couple of these XFX 570's, single 8-pin. All of them have the back plate. The armors don't have a back plate. The MSI armors do not have back plates. That's the other big difference. But I'm going to have, so essentially those 3 different types in one rig, because I got 5 cards total. Neither of those work. So what I think it is you guys are giving me your Windows thing, and it's just a different layout than Simple Miner. Let's see here. Let me see if I have to strip something down. I think I have to, actually. I think I just need...
Does the back plate make a difference on those cards?
The backplate, the cards with the backplate seem to be cooler. The VRMs don't get as hot, and when since they're a aluminum plate on all the cards that have the aluminum plates on them, when you have an external fan blowing on the back of them, it keeps them a lot cooler. Let's try some XMR. I think I had an XMR address.
You should have boxed for those cards one more time.
Oh, the box for the RX 570's? Yeah, here.
Dragons, not devils.
The Dragons. Yeah, the Devils, the new Devils, I think the gold samples are actually like the old Devil 13s, where they have the nice aluminum, multi-aluminum look to them. Very heavy duty. I'm trying to see if I don't have a 13, a Devil 13 here. I don't know if there's one in there. I try not to use any of the Devil 13s. These things were sick. Oh, nope, I don't have one in here. They had some pretty sick packaging with this thing. Came with little skulls. Pretty crazy. Yeah, so this was a dual GPU, 2 390s on one card, 16 gigs of RAM. This card, you probably can't see the reflection, 16 gigs of DDR5, 512 bit. This thing was sick. Used more power than a nuclear reactor. Oh, there's some Decred. Or no, this is XMR. So I don't mind a lot of XMR, so you guys will have to help me with this one. So it looks like it's at 46, 48. That's pretty decent. Any of you XMR? How's that performing? 46, 48. I think that's what it is. Let's see here. The 660s in the card each. Hash. 46, 49. And 680 watts of power. So let's see if we can get some dual mining. Again, these are the Red Devils, which is kind of, sorry, Red Dragons. I keep saying devil. And try Bullberry. I haven't mined Bullberry before. Any Bullberry miners out here? Bullberry's downloading Scratchpad. And we'll try some Zcash after this. I don't know how long this Scratchpad takes to download.
Is it worth it to go for 8 gigabit cards over the force?
No. Not if you're just mining. If you plan on reselling, the 8 gig cards are really nice for the resell. Just because they're 8 gigabit cards, but you're not near it right now, needing over 4. Because they just recently went out. What the 2 gigs went out in September-ish or so. September or October, and then 3 gigs are about to, I think, here in the next couple months. Anybody still mining with their I have a couple older 280Xs with 3 gig. I mean, I know that they're still mining. I think they are way degraded though. I think they're only like 16 mega hash now. I don't know what that's doing. I'm gonna go to Zcash. Anybody have time for Scratchpad downloading?
If you had to choose between the Gaming X and the Armor OC.
Gaming X. Here, I'll show you guys what the armor looks like. Give me 1 second. I got a rig over here with the armors in it. I'll pull one of the cards. Here's the armor. So it's this card here. Wow, that's horrible. On Silent Army, only 500 souls. I need to get a different put a different miner on that. I think this thing should be like more like 2,200, 2,800 souls, something like that. But this is the armor. So it's this card here. The 570, and I'll compare it to the XFX. So essentially, you got your your aluminum single heat pipe, single pipe. No back plate at all. Kind of got a lot of extra. I don't know what they were thinking there. Just, I guess, for the dual in, just to have it for this fan, but not a lot of space. They went way low on material on this. This is like kind of, I call bottom barrel from MSI. I mean, it's just their basic piece here. These fans look easily removable though, so replacing these looks pretty simple. I mean, you can see that they have like a release in there for them, so I think they went kind of like where they could quickly replace them. But compared to like the XFX, where the XFX is using at least the copper heat pipe, and it's got a back plate. So for the VRMs, you know, it's got heat pads on the VRMs and then a heat the back plate. It's just, you know, these are a little cheaper than these, because these were $189 and these were $179. So it's a $10 difference. And we have not modded these yet. That's going to be coming up in the upcoming video. I just got these today, so I'm going to mod these and see. These are right there to mid 27s, almost 28. So these were the 1500 straps copied over the 1625, the 1625, 1750, and 2000 straps only on these. I did not mod anything else, just the straps. And then take these to 1925 on the memory, and you'll get right at almost 28. It's like 27.8 on these. And I got 6 of these running over there, and they're 810 watts. So it's 810 for 6. With that strap set up on this. And then this we don't know yet because I haven't done it yet. So I just got these today. But that's the real difference between this and then the MSIs are a lot bigger than this. The MSIs are not as big as the 1080 MSIs, but not too much smaller than the RX 570s. By comparison to where the XFX 570, the XFS 580. So you can see it's difference. This is the 580, this is the 570. There's a sizable difference in the card. Actually the same fan size, there's just more plastic on this. And then the power requirements on a 6 and an 8 pin on this versus just the 8 pin on this. So that's your difference between your 570s and 580s. At least for the XFX. And this thing didn't really get any better on the soles, only 588's, just nothing. So I think this is using Silent Army 5, which I think is one of the older ones on Simple Mining. Yeah, it's in Zcash. That's Silent Army doing Zcash, but it's horrible. Let me try a different one. Here's the Zcash. Another, this one is Zcash GPU client, coinsforall.io. We'll try their miner. Let's see if anybody else sent me their Simple Miner string. If you use Simple Miner and you have a dual mining setup, send me your go into your Simple Miner, go into your dual mining setup with your addresses and copy and paste that entire string to me. trying to put in a Decred address right now. Let's see here. That's this one. I think it's for Zcash. This is a different type of miner for points for all one. Yeah, so again, if you're using Simple Miner, paste in your entire string and send it over to bitsbetrippin@gmail.com and I'll post it in there real quick and we'll run your settings. For the people worrying about if GPU mining is going to go obsolete, it's kind of like people saying Bitcoin's going to die. We're still kind of waiting for it. It did have its point, but those people that kept mining, which even for myself and for a lot of the BBTers, we kind of held off for a little bit there after ASICs really took over script. But if you kept mining, at least Litecoin and you picked up some script machines and then you powered your miners off, and then whenever Ethereum came through and you went ahead and you started mining Ethereum before it was worth big money, it paid off. So mining always isn't about hitting ROI or running in the positive against your power. It's sometimes you have to make an investment and look for the future on it. If and when, and I say if lightly, Ethereum goes proof of stake fully, then a lot of that hash will go over to Zcash. It'll go to a lot of other coins out there. It's Siacoin, Decred, XMR. It's gonna be spread out on those other coins. And what's happened every time with GPU mining is it's prevailed. The community keeps mining. Other coins come out that want to leverage this. You got to understand, there's some of the applications on the supercomputer side, the commodity side of some of these coins is folks writing software to do massive amounts of GPU processing power, such as pre-rendering files. So you're looking at stuff like Golem Coin with PostScript filing and going through and running like stuff that's running on Silicon graphics machines right now. Taking some of those big, 3D arrays and putting them into an interface that runs at runtime through a smart contract. I mean, that's what you can do with the power of having a whole big GPU rack like this. And then you're going to have other coins out there and folks working on stuff that, for backing up. You got a lot of companies out there that do brute force, like ethical brute force hacking, people that lose hard drive passwords, stuff like that. There's some talk of folks building some smart contract based Ethereum and forked from Ethereum software that actually goes out there and allows people to start running those GPUs as password crackers legitly, legit businesses that actually do it, and then Hive spread that across a whole bunch of things. So bottom line, there's going to be use cases for folks to continue to build this at scale. It's been this way since essentially you could do it in Bitcoin in early to late 2012 with 5870's. So, if you're looking for a quick, 2-3 month turnaround for all the time, I mean, you got to look at it more of the long term on it. Just don't go in so deep. Spread it with a few rigs if you don't want to scale it up and. This one is not working. Let's see if somebody sent me a proper simple mining config for dual. Let's try this one. Which one was this one for? This one was for Decred. VCR. Let's try this one. Again, this is all still running on that RX 570 rig. Earlier in the video, we were showing we showed the 1080, and you'll see that posted out. Grab the right one. Oh no. There we go. I didn't hit the right button. That was my fault. I was wondering why it was going back out the coins for all. So this should be Decred and ETH. Yeah, somebody was asking what the temps in the workspace are right now. Since we're not running the AC, we're at 27 Celsius. It's 81 degrees. Very warm right now. Because I kicked off our AC. Hey, we might have got a good Decred address. Whose was this? Who's the lucky winner? Derek. You know who you are, Derek. We'll let this burn for a little bit. So it looks like it dropped this rig down to 182 mega hash and 5475 Decred dual mine. Let me see if I can get this settled, and I'll show you guys what we're looking at here. So on the Red Dragon RX 570's, doing dual at 7 cards, 182 and 5470. They say go to DRCI 27, do the intensity to 27. Well, let's look what the power is, and I'll switch the intensity to 27. So let's look at the power. So dual mining took it from 990 to 1136. All right, so what intensity am I switching this to? You guys want to do 27 first? So let's switch it over to 27 here. That's got a EVGA Supernova 1300 G2. And we're gonna go to All right, I'm pushing 27 to it now. And then we'll try 20. There was nothing in there before. It was just whatever the default is what it was running. Yeah, people asking about a meetup. Yeah, we could probably do a St. Louis meetup sometime. I'm in the St. Louis area. Could look and see if there's an event. Oh, I didn't know. Maybe I put that in wrong. I did not like that, whatever that was. Is it minus space? I missed that.
Does it make a difference with the GPUs if they're hanging vertically or horizontally?
That setup was kind of a desperate setup because I didn't ran out of rigs, and I have not seen really any advantage in it, to be honest with you. I've seen a lot of people do it. We put a fan. I put a fan on it, like here. I don't know if you could see that or not. It's like this fan kind of behind it. You can zoom out. There you go. So this is a tall fan I usually put right here in between them, and it cools them down a little bit. But honestly, I mean, if I have that same fan kind of laid like this in front of the other rigs, I mean, they all hold the same temperature. So I haven't really. I mean, he rises, and I mean, this kind of lets him go up, but I mean, we use a lot of external fans on them because I don't like them burning out their normal fans. So let's see here, what am I missing? Don't see that where that config. Sending the command. I mean, it's not bad for 570's. I didn't see if that took that setting. I think it did. I didn't see any red. And that was 27. Yeah, George, send me what the problem is with your super micro board. Maybe we can help you out. So that's 27. I don't see much change. Still 182.5 or 182.4 and 54.73. Actually, it's going down a little bit. 178. Power's about the same. $1146 with the dual. Minus on the keyboard. Set at 29 for all GPUs right now. It's 28. All right, there's 27. We'll see. Thanks for that update, buddy. It's a much easier way to move it. If you're talking the Nvidia cards, or you're talking Vega? So it looks like 27's giving us a little more mega hash. Here, let me zoom in on this. So I switched it to 27. Yeah, I boot EthOS if I use you can do it off a USB. EthOS recommends an SSD, but I've always had to okay with. Yeah, it's always worked well with me with the USB. I've never really needed to do a SSD, but I think they're just doing that just to ensure the I/O speed's fast enough. Just don't use a cheap USB. Like get a SanDisk one, get one that has a pretty decent 3.0 speed, and make sure you plug your USB into the 3.0 slot, and you should be fine. But this is Simple Mining's OS. So the default on this I think was 30. There you go, Tick. Good job. Glad you can see all 6 stars now, man. Yeah, we're looking forward to Vegas too. There's supposed to be an announcement like in a little less than a month on more specifics to them. But the bottom line is they should be a new architecture, obviously, and it should have HBM memory. So if they can get kind of nano-like memory speeds, you know, to where you don't have to have you can keep the speeds down and still get a good mega hash and use a lot less power. That HBM memory, I think end up being pretty good. But you know, as quick as those come out, you know, we'll be on it and we're gonna get them. We'll put together a 6-card rig, but you know, understand that it's probably gonna be a few days before drivers get set, and we have to work. Everybody has to work through because drivers are not going to be optimized for it, and there's going to be no Linux builds for them right away. We'll have to port them over, and there's a good chance, just like in the RX series when it first came out, AMD Linux kernel is probably not going to be ready for it before the Windows distribution will be out there. So it's probably going to be a Windows affair in the beginning, until Linux, until folks can get their hands on getting a proper stable build for them. All right, so the power on this one now at intensity 27. Is 1156. Yeah, Martin, we tested the armor out. We were showing it earlier. We're at almost 28 mega hash. I have 6 of those cards, and the whole rig is right at almost 170 mega hash. And it's at 810 watts, 820 watts. George, if you, I wouldn't use a server board if you don't have to. I mean, the only reason why I use a server board is if you had dual Xeons in it, and you could do some GPU mining with that too. But it's probably not going to be worth the power, and especially now that these new boards can do, and the expanded risers. I mean, the advantage of the server boards at the time was that you could get a lot more PCI Express. You know, you could get 6 to 9, you know, you could get definitely 6, you could get up to 9 on one of those server boards, but now anymore, these newer Asus boards with the proper BIOS settings, and then you get a couple riser cards, and you get the expanders and the M2 slots, you're talking 9 cards at a minimum now that you could technically get on these Asus boards. You have the 2 M2 slots, and you have 7 slots that absolutely work. We know through several people out there on the web showing, and we're going to get our 2 M2 drives, and we'll show it to you guys also, about 9 cards on one board. That's a pretty much guarantee now. Now we're seeing if you can get 2 to 3 of those 1 to 3 expanders, which give you essentially 2 additional cards, or 3 cards for the one slot. Technically we could get one board doing 14, and we'll see if we can do that. That's what part of this build here is going to achieve once we get all those slots in, those slot upgrades. We'll be able, these are two boards, a board here and a board here underneath this, but with all the expanders and the M2s, we should be able to get, plug all these cards into the single board, and then we'll see what we can do. And we'll just tie the 2 PSUs together, the 1600 and the 1300 G2 here, just to spread the load over the 14 cards. But once all those parts come in, again, we're in the Midwest, this stuff doesn't come really quick from China's where it's all coming from, Shenzhen, so we're still waiting on the 2 M2 drives. Those should be hopefully here in the next week, and then we have 3 of those 3-card expanders. No, I mean, so you could use a server board with like Linux distro, and it'll use a lot of just default drivers for it. You shouldn't need a lot of specific drivers for it. What I would do is take the board with no cards plugged in and just try to boot like Simple Miner's OS and see if you can get it to just boot first. And then put 1 card in 1 slot and see if you can get it mining. If so, then by and large that the board is supported at least from the Linux kernel that's there. If it isn't and it dies on the line when it starts to boot up and starts giving you like CPU stops and all that kind of stuff, then you're going to need to have a custom version of the BIOS, and then it's probably not worth it. But at a minimum, set 1 card with like EthOS's distro. You can try Simple Mining's distro. But yeah, somebody's getting some good hashes. You see this on, I forgot who This is Derek's. Derek, you seeing this on your? You should be seeing this on your pool. Take a screenshot, throw it up on Imager, and paste the link in the chat. Should be able to see this hitting your pool. Hey Jeff Horn, yeah, I've seen that. That's when the driver for the card. So what I would do on that, I've had that before. What you have to do is use DDU, which is the driver uninstaller. Here, let me write that down. That way I can put it in our links for tonight. You need to do a DDU on that. Remove all your drivers and reinstall them. DDU link. I had that on one of this 1080 rig when I was playing around with different drivers to try to optimize, find a good optimized set for the 1080s in this rig, and it ended up doing the same thing where it would come up on NiceHash's UI and it wouldn't see it, even though Device Manager showed that there was a driver installed. So I think we're talking the same thing. I had to pull all the drivers off using DDU. And then I reinstalled it from, it came back up. There was no drivers installed. I installed it, and then everything worked. It goes out and fixes some registry settings that I think are dorked up for you. Yeah, I'm going to look at this other rig too, man. You might be having two burning on it.
Does Simple Miner support ETH and VCR simultaneously?
Simple Miner do what?
Support ETH and VCR dual mining.
That's what this is. This is Simple Miner doing ETH and DCR right now. That's what you're looking at right here. So in the Simple Miner, under the big red button, there's a whole bunch of miners to choose from, and you choose, this is Claymore 94, and then in there you put in the string, your decred address, and your settings, and your ETH address. And it saved all your rigs, and then it'll push it to them. Yeah, but this is this rig here, we're not even... And again, I'm looking, I'll end up getting, what I was going to do is once we got the expanders, I really wanted to make this an 8-card rig. I'm still actually looking to see if I can pick up one more of these RX 570's for this, and then this will be an 8-card rig. An 8 or a 9, because this board actually has 2 of the M2 drives and the 7 slots, so if I can actually get 2 more of this, we'll turn this into just a single 9-card rig. I will have to bump the power supply up probably at that point, just because I don't think I'm going to have enough rails on the 1300 G2. Let's see here. I have none left. I could expand over from the 6 pins here and make it happen, but we'll see. I might go ahead and just move that to a, that's this here. This heavy cable I have for this monitor is, it's this cable right here. You can see how thick that is. That is an HDMI cable. That is like a 50-foot. It's the longest HDMI cable you can actually get. It's like literally like 50 foot. That's non-powered. It's the biggest cable. It came from Monoprice. It is the longest cable you can get that is not powered, but it's so heavy that it pulls almost out of the board. So you can see when I plugged it back in, it was fine because it actually, the weight of it was pulling it out of the slot. Yeah, you should be getting, Andrew, I think it's Andrew, whoever's the address this is, you're loving life right now, because I got 2 rigs on that right now. Let me see if I can share this one. see here. Window region. Edit. Windows source.
Are there any risers you prefer over others?
I like the 7th gen. Let's see here. I don't know what's up with the I need to add a new source. Hold on real quick. I'll show you in 1 second here. Let's see here.
Is it possible for a card to brick just because you disconnected the video cable?
No. I've never seen that. Unless you're in the middle of an update, maybe. Here we go. You guys see this? Let's see here. Expand this guy out a little bit. So I went and just put 2 on this. I put it on one of my other email addresses. That's the armor rig I got turned off right now because I pulled the card from it. These are the 2 rigs right here. So this is the well, first off, I'm gonna make sure you guys can see this. You guys can see what I'm showing here right now, right? Make sure you guys can. So the this is the 2 machines I have running right now. This is the one 580 MSI is part of this, and then it's the Red Devils. So you can see them right here. This is in Simple Mining, and this is that poor lucky guy on the stream right now that we repointed the address to, and you can see, you can go into Simple Mining, you can name these rigs, which is pretty nice, but you can see right now 168, or is that 187? It should be 187. We have 1 GPU on this MSI rig. Let's do a reboot on this one real quick. 1925. We're gonna go to 1925 on the MSI rig. Each card. Here, I'm just actually typing in. Oh, it did not like that. Hold on. That's funny. So I was actually typing it inside the stream, and it collapsed my box. Hold on.
AG was sending you an email with a screenshot of his hash that you're giving.
Oh, you sent me an email on it?
Yes.
Yeah, let me go to that, and then I'll restore that box here in a second. I was editing it through the Livestream tool. It's like some kind of weird backwards way of doing it. It's hilarious. I actually supported it. Let's see here. I didn't see the, I haven't got that email yet. Alright. Here, I'll get back to this Simple Mining thing real quick. Alright, open this back up. And close
using this right now, and then I'm gonna edit this here. And we're gonna push that config back to the MSI of 1925. Alright, so that, I just pushed the config there. So essentially I went right in here and I went to this overclocking. And if you click that, I went in there and changed all these memory things to, well, at least a couple of them that were having the issue to 1925. And now it's pushing that back, so you can, on Simple Mining you can hit the console, which it'll show once it's up. It'll actually show you. So this is nice because you can remote manage it that way. You can see the actual stream of the console right there out of the web browser, which is pretty clutch. And you can see this one booting up now that we just made that change. So there it is, pushing the clocks to the graphics cards. And you'll see it pop up here in a second with all those running. You can see all the stats of the cards. And you'll see it start hashing here in a second. The second number next to the mega hash.
It says Red Devil, but those are actually Red Dragons, right?
Yeah, those are red dragons, not devils. That's my fault. I have red devil in the head because for so long we were doing stuff with. I'm gonna change the rig name to Red Dragon 7. So it's a 7 card rig right now, and that should change that to Red Dragon. And then pushing a hard reboot to the MSI rig. But yeah, you can if you move your mouse over this, it'll give you stats and uptime. Like over here, it'll give you all your GPUs, that it is dual mining. It's pretty cool features. Let's see if I got that.
He was asking about the 5161.83 megahash number on your Red Dragons.
On the where?
On your Red Dragon description, the console column, the 5000 number.
Oh, this number right here, that's the dual miner. So if I blow this up, that right there, this is the 190 for ETH, and this is the 5155 mega hash for Decred. And I'm just giving a good cold reboot on the MSI rig after we pushed that config. I still think I was down GPU. It didn't like that chain. megahertz change, but we'll see after a reboot now. You can see that it popped up for a cool minute, but I still had one GPU not responding. Again, we're still going through a couple different settings on the RX 580s. Probably have a few more BIOSes to run through before I finally settle on one for those, but I think I'm good on the 1080s, and I think the Red Devils or the Red Dragons are good. But that's simple mining. And you can see it right here, yellow, because it was down and now it came back up. So red is if it can't ping it at all. If it can't see it, it's red. Yellow says it sees it, but it hadn't got a response from it yet. And then green is that it's getting a response from it, it's talking. We can come in here and see that it's pushing config to it right now. And then it should start mining here in a second. So there's this now, it's going, it should pop up to 180 here in a second.
Simple mining work with Wi-Fi?
Simple mining does work with Wi-Fi. I mean, it can just be a little goofy sometimes. I usually always have them plugged into a connection. So to cred, I mean, let's look here. So this is, let's just set all this 10,000 to cred. They do a new source here. Other URL. Check that. Oh, hotkeys. And so right there. So that's kind of like what you're getting. Dual mining it with 2 rigs. I mean, take calculators with a grain of salt, obviously, but I mean, even if you got half of that, plan for half, pray for a full. It's very predicated on uptime, it's very predicated on pricing changes, but take as a notional, take whatever you see in a calculator, cut it in half, and that's your baseline. Anything over that's cheddar. And I mean, mind you, you're paying so if you're already mining ETH and you're getting 190 mega hash out of this rig,
and you were at 900 and some odd watts, 950 watts, something like that, and you're paying now, let's say, an extra 200 watts essentially. So to get, decred on that, so now you're talking $125 a month in decred on this one machine, maybe $100 a month, for the extra 150 watts. Oh. My bad. I forgot I still had the calculator up. 1 second. Boop. So, and just real quick, just that way we keep the thing here. Let's just do. Copy this out for 1 second. That, save.
AG said to check your email and see if you got the screenshots.
Nice. We'll post that up here in a second. So what I'm doing right now is I'm re-pushing just ETH back to this machine. You can see what it's doing. It's not mining yet, obviously. We all wish that it would mine at that. So that's just ETH on this machine. 7 cards. So if you're not dual mining, you're just regular mining, just for everybody can remember, or if you're just joining the stream, this 7 card rig, that's what it's doing, just without dual mining. Yep, and that's 190 mega hash. And that's these cards. So, yeah, I think it's been pretty good. I tell you what, I'll do some questions and answer for another 10 minutes, guys, and then I think we'll wrap this one up. We've got a lot to do, get some other stuff, get some other videos out for you guys. I'm gonna do if I get some time. Oh yeah, look at his picture. Let's see this desktop. Yeah, nice little bump. The first little bump was the one rig, and then I went ahead and put the second rig on there. That brought you up a bit. That's right, folks. BBT giving hashes to folks. That was a long period too. That wasn't just a half hour. I think I gave that to you for 2 hours. So this is the other gym. I'm gonna wrap up on letting you guys know. So I'm gonna test this one out, the RX 464 gig. We're gonna do a BIOS mod on this. I had some folks send me some stuff that's interesting on this one. This is 14. The word on the street is it's 50 watts of power with 14 mega hash. If that's true, then that means it's like an 80 mega hash 6-card rig, 90 mega hash 6-card rig for like under 650 watts. So we're gonna see if I can get this. You know, matter of fact, let's open this. I don't even know if this has a. This should have a 6-pin. Brand new, not even opened. Are you kidding me? Oh my god. There is no pin on this. If this does 14 mega hash and I don't have to plug anything into it after a BIOS mod, this could be dangerous. Follow us on Twitter. I'm going to do it. I'm going to mod the crap out of this. I'm going to see if I can push 14 mega hash out of it. And if I can get 14 mega hash out of it at 50 watts, then you will see it first and go out there and pick these up. That gives you guys watching us an advantage. So follow us on Twitter. The second I get this thing modded and into a box, I'll show you the mega hash on it. And you can go scoop them up before they're before the masses hear about it. Jeff, we're running right now 20 amps, several, I mean like an entire secondary breaker box, all dedicated to 20 amps. I'm also installing this next week a new 30 amp setup with the 240, and we'll cover that in one of the live streams. We'll show you guys the box and how that all worked, where we got the parts from and all that kind of stuff for folks interested in doing that, plus all the costs that costs to do. But essentially we're going to take that 30 amp down here and just be able to run for, I can run up to like 5 rigs on that 130 amp. And it'll run a lot cooler. We'll be able to compare and contrast against both the 110 versus the 240. Yeah, if you cannot, I try to run each rig, like this rig here, the big one, is ran on 2 separate 20 amp circuits. And I mean, it doesn't, I mean, technically it doesn't need to be, but I mean, we're at 850, and I mean, you're right at where you don't want to be doing more than 2 rigs on it. So I'm doing 1 rig a piece just for safety, keep it cool. I don't want to really run the lines real hot, so I mean, we got down here probably 14 20 amp connections, so just for down here in this office area, just to make sure that we have enough to handle all the rigs. But you actually will heat out the room before you'll tap out that box. You'll need, or you'll really have to put a lot of air conditioning in somewhere before you'll outdo usually what you got.
The new card you just unboxed, what was that again?
The card that I just unboxed was the RX 464 gig, not the 2 gig. They have a ton of 2 gigs of these. It's the 4 gig RX 460. The word on the street is you can BIOS unlock a lot of stream processors on this, and you can do some timing mod on it and actually get almost up to 14 mega hash on it at like 50 watts. There's no pin connector on it at all, so it's just literally getting its power from the riser. So I'll measure that with a single, just in a board with a single card, post BIOS, and if it ends up popping out 14 at a low wattage, then I'll go pick up at least 5 or 6 more of them, and I'll build a small rig with them, and see if we can get them all onto like a 650. But there's no pin out, so I don't have to worry about the rails. Yeah, that should be interesting. So that's a 460. But we don't know until we try it. So, I mean, I've seen people say that they have it, and that's why I picked it up. So, I'll tweet it out. I mean, if it ends up being like 10 and shuts the machine off, then I'll let you guys know. Don't do it. But we'll see. I mean, this thing says 114, but I think I picked it up for like $99. So, it'd make it a really cheap rig too. So 7 more minutes, guys, and I'll wrap this up. That'll make it at 3 hours and 30 minutes. This will obviously get hot pressed back up to the web right after this, and then tomorrow's episode again. It's more of a traditional episode. Tomorrow, you'll see hopefully this card's performance, but I'm gonna do a proper review on the XFX cards that I picked up yesterday, and it's really kind of 3 of them. 3 different types. I don't know why they did that. So this one lights up. This one's like, I don't know, it's like embossed, like level. Like you can see the XFX picking. There's no light there. I don't know what their deal is with it. The Crimson Red edition and the Hyper White edition, 2 different ones. One's super overclocked and one's overclocked. RX 580's, and then I'll do the RX 470 XFX with the back plates. That'll all be wrapped up in just a normal traditional episode. So it's just the views of it, what it outputs, power, and then it'll be narrated. So it's not kind of vlog style, it'll be more episode style. And that's what we'll do with that. And then this will have a proper episode by itself. I'm doing a little more special with this big rig. We're going to do some graphics and stuff. So, price on this one or the other ones?
The new one.
I'm gonna get to that super chat too. That air, Kay, do you use the DDU and remove all your drivers, and then re-put them back in, and then you'll get rid of that air. On this one was $99. It says $114 for Micro Center, but at checkout it was $99. These ones from Best Buy is expensive, so I'm just calling that out right now. But the 570's from Best Buy were $199. I was able to find them online. The RS edition, which this is the 570's, I was able to find to another place for $189, and they price matched that. So that's $189 for that card. The Crimson Edition XFX 588 gig, which was the overclocked. This what's so weird is these have the red labels right here, and you would think crimson, red, right? These actually are hyper white. I don't know why. So these are go just white. The ones that are white with the black labels go red. I think somebody was asleep at the wheel when they installed these, but that one was $189. This one was $239 with the red labels and the no light up and the thing. And then this one was $289, which was just paying way too much damn money for it. But there isn't much out there right now, and they wouldn't price match anything, and it's just the way it is. So these were $289, 8 gig, super overclocked XFX. So that's the pricing on those ones, and those will be in that review. And then we'll have a proper review of this one once I get it into a proper rig. And if I can get, I don't want to do the you guys are getting to see it in the live stream, and that's great. I'm glad we were able to show that tonight. Really didn't want to have to go through this case because this was kind of temporary, but it's okay. You guys can see that we sometimes have to make do with when we're between rigs. But the I want to pick up 2 more of these once I get my M2 drives on this, and I want the Power Color Red Dragons. I want this to be the 9 card rig, the 7 from the Z board, and then the 2 M2 drives. So I want this to be a 9 card rig. So we're going to build an actual different framed rig for this, for the 9 cards once I can get the other 2 cards and the M2 drives come in. So that'll be the 9 card rig. It'll be its own episode. The bigger 14 GPU setup here will be its own episode, and then these other ones right here are an episode. So you guys are seeing essentially our next 3 episodes, and then we'll try to get a blog one in there. And then somebody asked me about, I think CryptoMine sent me a note about picking up some risers, so I'll send you a note. This is usually who I've been getting them from, Mint Cell. So they come in packs of 6, which kind of sucks now that we're building rigs with 7 and 8 cards in them. But that's essentially how they come, and they come with what version they are. And let's open this up. Kind of just come in these little, cellophane packs with a little Molex adapter, and then version 6 have the 4 pins, and then missing a piece, and your little adapter. So that's the way those come. I get those from Amazon most of the time. And they put on there, for Ethereum mining and but this is, it says here, version 6 on here. It says version 7, so sometimes they just put the version 7 in there, but it's the version 7 with the Molex, because there's a version 7S which has the SATA on it. So that's the difference. You see the different version numbers, but I think Mint Cell's been picking the actual cellophane packs from, they probably get them from like Alibaba or somebody, and then even though they say version 6, they're actually version 7. So if folks want to know the risers. Cool. Is there any more questions? We'll wrap this episode up and this live stream up. Oh, we had a super question, right? Oh yeah, that errors if I've had that error too. DDU. Make sure you choose ATI driver, let it uninstall and pull all the registry settings back out, and then reapply your driver. And then you should get rid of that error. Yeah, AG. Yeah, I let it go for a little bit. So you see that, you see it first at BBT. I mean, this thing's been for 3 hours and 20 minutes, and for at least an hour and a half of it, we've donated some hashes to some of the community people. So again, if you guys help share and like, subscribe, share this thing out, we'll try to do more of these. And when we're on the kind of longer live streams, I'm gonna I'll point some of the hash power to your guys' stuff. So when you guys get on, send us an email when you join the chat. It's bitsbetrippin.com or bitsbetrippin@gmail.com. If you use Simple Mining OS, just copy that thread and send it to us, and we'll pick them random, and we'll send you guys some hashes your way with some of our hash power. So, a little contribution back to the community for all of the graciousness you guys give and all the feedback. So. All right, let's. I guess we'll get this wrapped up, guys. I want to thanks everything that you guys give us feedback for, and keep it coming, and stay tuned, and we'll bring some more good stuff to you guys. We'll stay in the chat for a little bit if you want to ask some more questions, but I'm going to go ahead and kill the stream.